I've been back and forth with, Maureen advised me to write a letter. We have a unique situation. We have two houses on the same property. My daughter who lives in one, I who live in the other.
With
So
two separate septic
So it's
hookups.
going to cost us for two separate septic systems to hook up to the new water district.
So-
Financially, she can speak for herself. We just financially cannot afford this. Then I get my tax bill, which we're struggling to pay to begin with. I had to claim Chapter 13 this year just to save my house because it was going into foreclosure. I had to hire an attorney just so that I could get a modification so that I could afford to stay in my home. Then I get the tax bill, and it's close to $1,970 more than what I was paying. So now this is $2,000 more on top of it. Plus you want me to hire a contractor to hook up to this. I'm gonna have to give up my home because I can't afford to stay there. I don't have the means. I mean, I don't have a savings account. We don't have credit cards. I have no rich family members. I just don't know what to do at this point. I haven't even paid my taxes yet because I can't afford them. I know it's not on the same scale as the gentleman before me, but to us, it's the same thing. $2,000 is a lot of money to us.
Plus whatever we'd have to pay for to hook up to the sewer system.
So, I mean, it's just like one thing after another. I'm trying to save my home, and now I have all
The
this
sewer
that I have to
district
deal
plus the
with.
taxes.
Do you guys have separate septics or one septic?
Two
We have
separate
separate
septics.
septics.
One well.
I'm sorry, that's why.
And
Yeah.
we've owned the home for 14 years. Our septic systems are in perfect working condition. They get serviced every 2 years.
And this is residential?
This is residential. Our home is pre-existing residential, and we're stuck right in the middle of this residential area. But it's pre-existing residential because we have a residential mortgage, and which.
No, but I mean,
which-
it's not, you don't have a commercial building that you're living
Right.
above a dry cleaner or something.
No.
Right, and like I said, I mean, maybe 2,000 isn't a lot of money to some people, but to us, who are struggling just to pay our mortgage,
But that's why it was 2,000, 1,000.
it's a lot of money. So I just don't know what to do at this point.
Well, I
We
don't wanna
did send a
speak-
grievance letter in.
Sure, I don't want to speak
Yeah.
for the entire board, but basically what you're going to do is, and as you're doing right now, is you're making your case for why your specific parcel should be exempted from the sewer district. We have certain powers under the sewer law to let properties in and let properties out. It's a long law. I have to go through and, review exactly how we do that. But, it's something the board is going to have to consider. We won't make a decision tonight, just like we're not making a decision on Mr. Sclafani's properties tonight. I hope that over the next couple meetings, we can get a situation where we know what criteria we're looking for, and we take these cases, which, we have paperwork from Mr. Sclafani. Feel free to submit any information about your property or about what you've told us today to the town clerk. She will disseminate it to us, and we have to make kind of like a quasi-judicial determination on a case-by-case
That's why we came
basis.
tonight,
So-
We have
Yep, that's
submitted
fi-
everything to Maureen.
So what we'll do is, just like Mr. Sclafani's, who came last meeting with a very similar request, we'll take this under advisement and everything you say, and as a board, make a decision as to, whether you guys are going to be required to be in the sewer district or opted out.
And how do we
Appreciate
find that
that.
out?
Well,
Well, we'd notify you.
You
yeah.
would notify.
Yeah, we would make the decision if there's any more discussion about your particular property, it'll be done in public. We'll let you know what meeting we're gonna be having it, so you can show up again, and the decision will be made on the public record, and we'll send out notice after that.
I appreciate.
And if you want to send in anything other than I do have, and I distributed to the board, you each wrote a letter.
Yes.
And those letters went to board members, but if there's anything else you'd like to submit, feel free to do so.
You certainly will. Thank you for the
Thank
time.
Thank you
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
I'm sorry. I totally understand. Just one final thought. I've been on disability for 5 years. I wear a defibrillator in my chest for the last 5 years because I suffered an arrhythmia. I want to thank everybody here, and I know certain people go over to Healy's. okay? And thank God he pays his rent, because without him paying his rent, I don't work. I gotta tell you, disability is a big $1,200 a month. So,
Thank you, Mr.
with
Sapp.
that said, good night.
Good night.
Good night, sir.
Anyone else? Okay. The next item on the agenda, the police department, we're going to discuss the regulation of towing companies utilized by the town. And I welcome our police chief, Alex Steveneri.
Good evening. I just want to reassure the board that I'm not going to be requesting to spend any money tonight. I just wanted to have a discussion about the police department's towing policy. Right now, with the towing, we have a rotating list. There's 4 different criterias on the list. There's one for accidents, one for impounds, one for disabled vehicles, and one for owner's requests. The dispatchers keep a track of, as the tows are called, dispatchers keep a track of the list. Right now, we have no written policy on what the criteria is to get on the list. Everything is at my discretion. The way we have right now is that the criteria is it has to be a legitimate town business located within the town of Kent. And the reason why I have discussion, we've had complaints, both from outside towing companies who want to get on the list, and from customers who feel that they're being overcharged, and and they feel that the police department is receiving, or the town of Kent is receiving monies from these tows, which we don't. So I gave the board 3 sample policies, agreements, just to look at. And this is one of the things that we could discuss at future meetings, some consideration. Do you want to leave it as it is right now, which is as at my discretion, with no written policy? We could establish a written policy which outlines the criteria in order to get on the list, what the requirements are for insurance and whatnot. Some municipalities have written agreements with tow companies, which actually outline the insurance requirements, where the business has to be located, response times. They even outline the fees that the maximum fees that the companies are allowed to charge. And that's something that the board, when they have a chance to look at the information I gave them to, we could discuss it again in the future. I don't know what the legalities are. That's something that Nancy could look over also, whether or not you could tell a business how much money they're allowed to charge maximum. I don't know. And again, I just wanted to bring it up because it has come up in the past, and if it's just a written policy that the board wishes to draw up, that's something that we could easily do. We could do that, in one day. If it's something that an agreement, a written agreement, almost like a contract with these companies, that's something that if the board wishes to do that with the legal advice, they could come up with.
Is there a particular one that you favor of the 3 samples?
No, and I tell you one thing too, is I don't want to make it so restrictive that we don't have any tow companies to call, because we'll be shooting ourselves in the foot. Also, we're looking for a tow, and no tows are available because we're only restricted to 1 or 2 companies. So when the board reviews this, just to keep that in mind also, if they decide to make some kind of agreement or some kind of policy, just don't make it too restrictive where only 1 or 2 companies are going to be eligible in order to participate.
Are you asking for us to take your discretion away? Is that what you think the written policy should be? No, I'm sorry, right? I mean, that's what...
No, but I do want to, at minimum, I would like to have some kind of policy, so when tow companies call up, how do I go about getting on your tow list? And right now, there's nothing I could go refer to saying, this is what you need, you need so much, you have to be located, physically in the town of Kent. So at minimum, I'd like to be able to draw up a policy or have the board draw up a policy. And then if it's something that, again, you could look at a sample agreement that I gave you. If it's something that the board wants to take it to that level, that's something that is totally up to the board.
Alex, the 3 tow companies are in Kent, right?
Well, there's the four categories that I gave you. There's different tow companies for each category. Some of the auto repair shops don't want to do impounds because they don't want to have the cars sitting on their lots. So each one of those lists have different tow companies on them.
But is there any non-resident companies outside it's all the 3 towns I see?
No, the companies that are on our list are
Chris Hobbs.
located physically in the town of Kent, but there are some times where the companies will use outside tow companies in order to do their towing. So that's something that the town might want to review also.
Now, Interstate 84, and possibly the exits in that area, is that a special?
There used to be a permit that you needed when it was Thruway Authority. That's no longer,
Oh, no more?
That
Used to be
no longer
Hyatt's, I
pertains,
think.
right.
Yeah, only
Right.
Hyatt could come. Okay.
right, Bob's used to have a section of the highway leases, and then Hyatt's, when you go into Dutchess County, but I don't believe that's in effect
Okay.
anymore.
Look it
Well,
over.
I don't see, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it would seem like when, if through your insurance company, you have towing and they use, a certain number of tow companies, insurance companies must have set fees that they deal with. I don't,
But
it
there's
would
even
seem
some-
that would be something that we could require, at least to cap a fee for people, because, if we're recommending or calling out for a tow company, then the person at the other end is kind of at the mercy of the company rather than.
And there are some municipalities that actually go out to bid for their tow, but I don't think there's any tow companies that large enough in order to rely only on one
Right.
company.
Right, but I'm saying, I don't think it's
getting-
unreasonable to set
But
a
these,
cap.
yeah, but these situations are not voluntary, like you're driving down the highway and your tire blows out, you're on the side of the road, Kent Police is with you, you're still able to call whatever towing company you want, correct?
Right, that is one of the criteria. If it's an owner's request,
Yeah.
that's fine, as long as they're able to get there within a reasonable time. You can't be in the middle of
Sure.
Route 52 and it takes an hour for the company to
Are
get there.
you getting overwhelmed with the snowstorms and people parking illegal? Is that one of the reasons?
Not necessarily overwhelmed, but we have received complaints when when they get the tow bill and, they call on us as if we're writing up the bill. They have a
I mean,
Maybe if the town would think it's a good idea to have a written policy in place, that maybe you and I could get together, and, because you're the one who knows what the concerns are, what the criteria should be, and then we can present that to the board, and they can share their input with us.
Okay, and again, I just don't know if the board wanted to take it to the level where they wanted to have written agreements, where they discuss fees and discuss,
I mean, if your concern is that, people are actually worried that we're not doing it in an arm's length type of manner, and that, we want to make it look like we're fair, we want to keep it local for people who are told, all that type of stuff, I think a department policy that's, approved by the town board is probably enough to say, hey, this is how you could get on the list, these are these are the department's requirements, I don't think, unless there's an actual towing problem going on,
well,
I don't
not
think
that that I know about right now. My concern would be in the future, again, the reason for, if you decided to have an agreement where, you don't have to worry about price gouging, you don't have to worry about fly-by-night outfits looking to, where they're not necessarily physically located in the town of Kent, but their address is in the town of Kent, but they might use a storage yard. So, that's some of the things that the
It's
town.
more the impound cards that cause the problems, yes? The ones that are
It,
impounded?
it's different every day, so it's.
Yeah, if you have a wreck, if you break your car, you're gonna take it to a mechanic, you're gonna take it to a body shop or somebody who's gonna fix it, or at least declare it dead. But if a car is impounded because
An arrest
you've
or-
made an arrest, a drug arrest, and you've taken their car, then that's kind of like a different game. So is that where one of the problems is? I
There's
don't
not
know.
any specific problem that, that's a major concern for our department, but the issue has come up in the past, and I just wanted to, again, have an open discussion with the board. Is it something that they want to regulate? Is it something that, just administer just with policy? Or, you know, which level do you want to take it to? Or do you want to just leave it as it is? That's something, and I could deal with the headaches.
No, I mean, I would be in favor of basically you taking your discretionary approach and putting it into some sort of department policy. The board can approve it or annually approve it, and so everybody's got some skin in the game, but it's really within your wheelhouse because you do it all the time, and,
Okay.
you know, that would be at least my thought. I'm not, I
Right,
don't
and
speak for.
and I think that would be a way that we could protect residents from gouging. I think that's the
Okay.
whole point
And then after,
of this
Nancy,
is-
I mean, and then you could review it, if you decide you want to take it to the next level, that's something that the board could decide.
Okay,
All right?
great,
All right,
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I have an item, number 7, on the workshop. I provided the board members with a proposal, but I would actually like to table this item for table discussion for next week, this meeting.
I get asked, on that item, I would appreciate it if you can consult with the county
That's-
personnel
yeah.
department. Thank you.
Okay, and the next item is E-code estimate to codify local laws 1, 2. The agenda just said 1, 2, but E-code sent us a correction, and it's local laws 1, 2, and 3 of 2014. And local laws 1, 2, and 3 of 2014 were the stormwater management and control law was local law 1, local law 2 was the sewer use law, and local law 3 was term limits. And so they've sent us an estimate not to exceed $5,500 to codify those 3.
Okay.
Pretty cut and dried. The next item is the release of an erosion control bond in the amount of $65,380 to BBJ Associates LLC for tax map 44-10-1-4. This is on the recommendation of the planning board. We all got the memo from the planning
Okay.
board, so again, nothing too fancy. The next item is the cleanup of property located at 24 Chauncey Road. This property, there's some pictures, it's in disrepair. There had been a request from 3 companies by the code enforcement